Hello YouTubers and welcome back to my channel. This is my latest crawler and it's an absima sherpa. I got this about a day or so ago from the time of this recording, and I had done a deal with my axial honcho. That's, if you remember from my last video, I had done a last run with it because I was pushing out of a sale, and I've done a deal with this whereby I traded it this with my honcho. And I'm very pleased that I done because I absolutely love the colour of this Jeep looking body shell on it. And if you got back far enough in my videos, I actually had one of these in white, and at that time I sold it because I was using my Traxxas 2X4 more and I wanted a few upgrades for that, so I ended up selling it. But then over a year later, I've now ended up with another one, and I'm quite happy that I have. And I'm also more happier that it's in orange, because now I've actually got it, I much prefer this body shell in orange over the white one I did have. So in this video, I'm just going to show you what I got with it, and there are a couple of upgrades that I'm planning to do to this in the future. So what I got with it was the user manual. As you can see here, I've not actually read through it yet, but I'm assuming that it's got some useful information that if I get stuck with anything, that this user manual will help me with it. And I will read through that in the future, just not at the moment. I have got a bracket, a couple of brackets. I'm assuming this is what they're for. I've not found out what they're for yet, but eventually I probably will do. I've got a couple of straps if I choose to use bigger batteries in the battery tray. It does come with a strap, but I'm assuming that you're limited of the size of battery that you can actually use, hence these extra straps I've got with it. I got the 6-channel controller that comes standard with this because it needs 6 channels for what it's got in it, which I'll get to it in a moment. I like the way this actually feels in my hands and the way it actually feels out on the trails, because I've already tried this on my homemade quad track just to make sure that everything works, and it does. So in my next video I will record it and to show you how well this actually performs on my track. As I mentioned, it's a 6-channel, so it's got 1 for steering, the 2 is for throttle and reverse. Channels 3 is for the 2-speed gearbox that this actually has, and that actually fully works. Next one is the channel 4, and that is for the working lights, and it gives me the option to turn them on or off, which I quite like that feature that I'm able to do. And you got the channel 5 and 6 at the top here, and that's for the lockable and unlockable differentials that this actually comes with as standard. So as I mentioned, I do like the way this feels and actually performs on my track. So that's the controller. As you can see, it has orange bead lockers, and you may recognise these from my actual honcho because these were fitted to that before I took them off and changed them to the standard ones before selling that. I'm glad I did, because these wheels go really well with the orange body shell. I've not actually tried this on my track yet because I actually ran this with the standard wheels and tyres, as you can see here. And so I used these to try it out on my track, and these actually perform really well considering they're standard at the box. But like I said, I had these metal bead locks on my shelf doing absolutely nothing, and because this is actually orange, they went well with the actual absima. Going on to the actual car itself now, one of the things I noticed is that it doesn't have any body plates or any pins to hold the body on. On the front, it's held on by magnets. Sorry, I can't pronounce that properly, but magnets. And it's also held on by this screw as well, just to give it a bit more security at the front. I don't know why I can't say magnets properly, but yeah, it's held on by magnets at the front. On the back, it's held on by a hinge, which I'll show you that in a moment once I'll lift up the body shell. The other things I like on it is that it's got door handles, mirrors, and a snorkel at the side that is actually screwed on, which I like. It's got a roof rack as well, which I'll probably put some accessories on there in the future, but for now I've got to leave it empty just to give me that bit more performance and weight down below. If I start adding accessories at the top, it's got to be a bit too top heavy. So as far as the lights, it's got the front headlights in the just there. It's got little side lights in the rear arches. It's got two little spotlights on the bonnet and a light bar just above the little window screen. And on the back as well, it has got lights in the bumper. And the one thing I forgot to mention at the front, it has got indicators, which I do like them, but if it's got some, it's got some. If it hasn't, I'm not too worried about it. So it's got indicators in these lights as well, which I might change down here and put the side lights in the back. But I'll have a little think about that one. On the back, it's got the petrol cans and a jack as well at the back, and little tow hooks or tow eyes, whatever I like to call them, on the rear bumper as well. Going back to the front, as I mentioned, it's got the indicators in the front bumper at the front, and it's meant to have the two tow eyes at the front. But as you can see, they have been broken off. So I will eventually get around to replacing those with new ones. I might even have a couple of spare ones in my drawer, which I will have a look after this recording. So that is pretty much all the body done. It's got a couple of little scratches at the front on the rear arches on each side, and a couple of across the body shell. And that's just the nature of the hobby. You're going to roll it. I may roll it a few times in the future and add a few more scratches to the body shell. But the main thing is there's no cracks or anything like that, or any bits missing off of it. The only thing that's broken are the little toe eyes at the front. I don't know why I'm stumbling at the moment, but I do apologise for that. So I'm going to take off the body shell and show you the hinge, how this is held on by the hinge at the rear. Just like that, it's held on by the hinge at the back. Hopefully you can see it. See if I can get it right angle. There's a hinge just here, and it's held on by that. I do like that feature where you can just pop it off and not worry about it falling off or losing the body, or losing the body pins that I normally do. The amount of body pins I lose over the past, I've just stopped counting. So I'm quite happy that this body is held up by the hinge. There are magnets at the front. There's two little posts just here, one on each side. And it's got the magnets just underneath these little bits here. So going back to underneath, the EC is sat up here above the front wheels, which are where I was going to fix it eventually anyway, but this comes standard anyway. It looks like a Hobbywing 1040, just there. And you do have two little tabs at the front to adjust it to see what battery you want to run in it. It can run a LARPA battery or a NIMH battery, but it's set to run on LARPA battery, and I think this can take a 2 or 3S. Well, I know for certain it can take a 2S LARPA at least, but I think it can also take a 3S. So when I come to test it on my track, I will run a 3S to see if this can actually take it. And that is one of the upgrades I'm planning to do in the future, is change this to a Hobbywing 1080, just to give me more programming options over this, because I'm very limited on this one. So it's just got two little tags at the front, as I mentioned. One's for the battery, and the other option is for front reverse, or forward reverse, or forward brake then reverse, or just forward and reverse straight away. So that's the only options it gives me, as well as the Hobbywing 1080 gives me a bit more options than what that does. But it works, and I will test it on my homemade recorder track, and I will record that to show you how this actually performs as it is. Underneath the ESC is a steering servo. Not unsure what the kilograms is on this one, but I can imagine it's around the 10 kilogram one, being the standard one. That is connected to a little shock absorber for the arm. I don't mind it, I kind of like it, but it does give me the option to change it for a metal straight arm if I choose to change that from the little shock absorber to a metal one. And that's one thing I forgot to mention. So yeah, if that ever breaks, I have got the option to change it to the metal bar. But I may consider changing it anyway, but I'll worry about that for the future. But for now, I kind of like it. So going back behind the ESC is a brush motor. I think is around a 20 turn brush motor, but I'm uncertain. But by the time I do the test run, I will know for sure what turn that actually is. But for now, in fact, I can see it. No, I thought the markers at the top would actually let me know what turn it is, but unfortunately it doesn't. And that brush motor is connected to the 2-speed gearbox, and that fully works with the lockable front and rear differentials. As I mentioned, I have tested it on my homemade quarter track just to see that, make sure that everything works, and it does. And so next to the 2-speed gearbox is the mini servos for the front and rear lockable and unlockable differentials. And on the other side is a mini servo for the 2-speed gearbox. And it does all fully work. I can see the difference between the 2-speed gearbox. So that actually does work. And it is very, very smooth. I'm happy with how smooth the gearbox and the differentials are. And sitting out at the back is a battery tray. I don't know if you can see it. And so there's the battery tray holder down just here. So that, the only downside is you could be restricted of how big the battery you can fit in here. But I'll find out in my next video of how big of a battery I can fit in it. But otherwise, worst comes to worst, I've got a couple of little straps that I can fit to it just to fit a bigger battery if I needed to. The shocks looks like they have been changed to springs, because I seem to remember from my last one it had a similar sort of style shock as to this steering arm has. And so they look like they have been changed to this spring one, which I much prefer the spring type over the standard ones. So I'm very happy that they have been changed for me already. So that is everything on this that I got with it. As I said, the only upgrades I've done to it so far are the wheels and tyres. So in my next video, I'll take it onto my homemade quarter track and show you how well this actually performs on my track. And say I've already tested it, so I already know how well this actually performs. And just to make sure that everything actually works, like the 2-speed gearbox and the lockable differentials, and that all of it does work. The other thing I forgot to mention, as well as the ESC being upgraded to the 1080 in the future, I will be upgrading the steering servo to a 20 kilogram steering servo, which I've actually got in the drawer sitting doing nothing. So after the first run, with the standard servo, I will be changing it after that first run. So that's the upgrades I'll be doing, as I've already done the wheels and tyres already. So that is all that I've got with it. I hope you like my new crawler. And in my next video, as I mentioned, I'll be recording it to show you how well it actually performs. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.